Today, Freedom Central is graced with the presence of the magnificent Marcel Messing. Marcel, thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us. I know you are incredibly busy, and we really appreciate your time today. So first want to start off with the journey that you're on. You are someone who is communicating a very valuable message to people at this time, but we first want to know how you came to be on this journey communicating this message.
If you ask me to tell something about my personal journey, first of all, I like to say that every human being is making a personal journey on this earth. And I think the essence from that is that we are making the journey from becoming to being. What are we? Who am I? Am I only a person with a date from birth, living in a place, earning some money with a profession? Or am I something more, like everyone is? I'm always saying I'm not a teacher, I'm a pupil from the life. We can learn a lot of things from each other. And sometimes, perhaps, you can teach something. What can you teach? First of all, that we all are making a journey. And that we have forgotten our destiny and our real place from the light. So if I talk about my profession, that's about becoming. If I talk about are we together, being, light, love. So I made a journey, and my journey is not finished. Because if you say my journey is finished, then you say you are on the end place. But if you are on the end place, then there was a beginning. And if there is a beginning and an end, then you are in the becoming. So the person who is sitting here made a journey. I'm born on a place in The Hague. I had a very good family with a lot of persons in a high position. And in my deep feeling, I looked another way to the world. I heard something others, outside, inside. If I looked to the people, I saw more things than normally. And normally I don't speak about these things, because very often people is saying, oh, that is the personality. But I had very young the idea, what is that here? So a lot of people are mad or sick, or I am mad and sick, or the rest is sick and mad. And then we need to help each other. So I discovered in my own being that we are here on the earth with a special destination. Of course, I made my studies, I had my education, I had a mother who learned me poetry and music, a father who learned me the language and to play with the grammar and with the words. And he gave an education for looking very, very large to the world. I made my studies. I studied anthropology, philosophy, comparative religions. And after that I was some period a teacher for thousands of students. And I said always, I'm not going to learn your philosophy. I'm going to learn you, I try to do, to think about life, to feel what is life, to smell what is life, to look from the inside what is life, and to hear with your inner voice what is life. Because a lot of philosophers are not saying what is life. They are thinking about life or above life, but not from the inside, from your being. What is life? So I talked also about anthropology, because on 3 academies I gave anthropology, and I learned them what is the evolution theory. Is it correct? So we are together, have a little look if the theory of Charles Darwin is correct. And there are a lot of questions. It's not necessary to be some follower from divine design. I'm not in a church, I'm not in a group, I'm not in a sect, I'm a free man. And I had only questions about the theory of evolution. And I learned the students to think about it, to feel about it. to look to the backgrounds of Charles Darwin. So I'm at this moment also writing a book about Darwinism, because I'm also an author and I like it very much to write books and poetry and philosophy. A lot of my books are translated also in Romania, even in Poland. And normally on my journey I wrote books about spirituality. For instance, I was sometimes in the monasteries of the Tibetans, the Tibetan monks. We have a project in India for the fugitives from the Tibetan people. And then we stayed sometimes in the monasteries. And there we learned a lot of things. We had some Rinpoches as teachers. And I learned from other peoples in the forest, literally in the jungle. There was a beautiful teacher who learned me a lot of things. And he had waited on me. So he gave a lot of knowledge, a lot of insight. And it was like a balm from love in my heart. And then I felt very strong, you have to write more books about spirituality, like about Buddhism. I wrote a book about the Buddha, a book about Gnosis. What is the Gospel of Thomas? I had a lovely friend, Erik van Ruisbeek, a mystical person who died in the body, because you cannot die in what you are. And we wrote, for instance, also a book about the Gospel of Thomas, the forbidden gospel by the church, because the church is always giving laws and not loves. And that is what I felt very strong when I was a young boy, that there is an enormous difference between the church from power, the church who tells a lot of lies, and the love of Christ, and the love of Buddha, and the love of Krishna. So I meditated in my life, I taught in my life, I write books, about 25 books in several languages, and I teach people. I try to teach, because, as I said, you are always also a pupil. Even my dog, we have a Tibetan dog, is a teacher for me, because you can learn compassion for all the animals, or you can learn patience. So my journey is going on every day, and had we the time, and it's not for television or also another medium, we could tell a lot of things about a journey. So one day I wrote a book, The Forest of Initiation. That's a book which is translated in several languages, and in that book I wrote my own story, but in images. So you have to seek a little bit, what is my journey? The background is India, because if I am in India, I feel me very well there, Bharat, and if it is necessary, I talk with the Hindus like a Hindu. No problem. So you have to take a question and then I give you an answer. So if I am in Bharat, then I speak like the Hindus are speaking, and I learned a lot of things. And just in this time, I feel that spiritual persons have to open the eyes and the ears from human beings.